The Chiefs get the win today at Arrowhead with GEHA Field inside of Arrowhead Stadium, 27-24. Darren, second time the Chiefs have played this Denver Broncos team in 3 weeks, man. What'd you see from this Denver Broncos team today?
Well, the first thing I want to know is GEHA paying you to say that? You started to sound like Uncle Sean now.
It may lie out of my pockets a little bit.
No, look. We talked about it in the pregame show. There's still a lot of fight with the Denver Broncos team, and look, I don't know how much of it was fight and how much of it was the Chiefs. Again, as we talk about each we play it down to the level of competition versus elevating their game and making other teams play their style of game. So, but to that point, obviously, with all the distractions that they had, firing the head coach, this was their head coach's first game. Overall, the Broncos they had a chance to win the game. Yeah. I mean, and that's all you really ask. And look, for all the good, bad, and ugly that Russell Wilson has done this season, I can't really say that he played a bad game. Statistically, and there were throws and some of the decision making that he did on fourth down a couple of times, throwing the ball in the air to where it got intercepted and stuff like that. Makes you question his judgment, but I thought overall that the team never gave up, and so from that there's a lot that they can build off of going into their season finale next week against the Los Angeles Chargers. Before the Chiefs, there's still a lot of question marks. Look, I thought they looked good on defense, but when you give up 24 points, one of the touchdowns obviously coming from off the interception that Mahomes did, I believe, but overall, a win is a win is a win. They have put themselves in a position to get the number one seed based off of what may happen tomorrow night on the Monday night game. But overall, I would probably give this game a B-.
Okay, you talked about Russell Wilson and his, statistically bad game. If you look at his statistics, he's 26 completions on 38 attempts. 222 yards, one touchdown. Looking at this Chiefs defense, man. Coach Reed talked about, a change in coaching earlier this week for the Denver Broncos. So he wanted his defense to be prepared and ready for anything possibly that could happen. Well, did this defense step up to the plate in your eyes?
Yeah, and look, and we talked about that. But going back to Russell right quick, he actually did have 3 touchdowns. He had 2 on the ground that we did. So again, like I said, I didn't think he played a terrible game, but statistically, that's what people are going to harp on. But he did score. He did account for 21 of those points, and so we got to.
He had to, like we talked about in our pregame show. He has to leave. I guess a good taste in everyone's mouth as far as Denver Broncos fans and also the team going into next season.
So what you said earlier, but look, the defense we talked about in pregame, and I know we keep referencing our pregame, so make sure you join us. But I thought, and for me, as I mentioned before, my X factor was going to be the defensive line, and one of the things that Steve Spagnuolo had talked about, and look, we've talked about it ad nauseum, is getting pressure on the quarterback, but also when you sacking the ball or when you're sacking the quarterback, trying to create turnovers, and that's what George Karlaftis did earlier in the game with the strip sack and the fumble. I think that they're heading in the right direction. There are some things that do concern me when they go on the zone and they leave a lot of the middle of the field open for wide receivers to get chunk yardages that just really kind of baffles the mind at times. But look, it is a work in progress. Talking to some of the players after the game in the locker room, they know where they can build off of. But overall, I mean, like I said, I think, with the B- and knowing what they can do, and again, this is one of the few teams that actually is getting healthier as the season ends towards the playoff. Obviously, you get McCall Hardman back preferably next week. I know there was a few bumps and bruises that came out of the game today. Joe Tooney with his ankle, and a couple of others. I know L'Jarius Sneed took a nice hit, but he ended up finishing the game. So there are things that they can build off of going into Las Vegas next week.
And just looking at the defense, I mean, from my perspective, the Chiefs offense, you got to remember, they had 2 crucial turnovers that gave the Broncos great field position. One was the kickoff return that was fumbled by Kadarius Toney, and the other was the interception by Patrick Mahomes. So I think if you look at it from them scoring on those 2 touchdowns, that's 14 points.
Yeah.
So that kind of changes the game a little bit.
Yeah, and I know you talked to Kadarius after the game. I don't know if you want to talk about that or if it's something for the show tomorrow night. But, again, just when you have turnovers like that and you play against a team that's eliminated, got nothing to play for, you put yourself in a position that people start to question.
Yeah.
You do that against a team like a Buffalo or Cincinnati, even to an extent a Los Angeles Chargers is going to be in the playoffs for the first time. That could cost you the game because, some teams feed, just like the Chiefs feed off of turnovers and momentum and stuff, other teams do as well. And the one thing you don't want to do is put yourself making those type of mistakes in a situation where it's going to be hard for you to come back from. Kansas City has far too long since Patrick's first game against the Denver Broncos in 2017 been playing with fire, and I don't know how long throughout his career it's going to happen in that way. I mean, look, there was a couple of times in 2020 when they ran it back, but I obviously caught up to him in the Super Bowl, and
the next year,
and then last season, with the second half of the AFC Championship game. So you don't want to put yourself in situations. I stress that I want to see Mahomes play a clean game. Obviously, the interception, because that led to a touchdown, and the team ended up trailing 10-6 before they were to come back before the half with the touchdown. So those are, I don't want to call them small, but there are minor concerns that I really hope that they get a chance, especially the punt stuff. I mean, the punt and kickoff, you cannot, man. I mean, you've got to stop. I mean, even if you can fair catch a kickoff. I mean, I would rather you do that. Put yourself on the 10-yard line versus doing what you did, turn the ball over and giving the team a chance to put points on the board.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. But thing about it is, with Patrick, those turnovers, they're more apt to come back from those turnovers than you are, say, if you had no pun intended, but Russell Wilson or another quarterback that's in this league.
True, but the pushback I would say is that, but why put yourself in a situation when you don't have to?
Understood. I agree. I'm not going against you. I definitely agree. What did you see from the offense as a whole? I mean, we talked about Travis Kelce not getting in the end zone the past couple of weeks, but a guy that had not gotten into the end zone at least the past 4 weeks was Isaiah Pacheco. Yeah. He said it was a breath of fresh air being able to score a touchdown, his first one after a few weeks.
Look, honestly, we say things on our show sometimes, and people think in our position we try to have hot takes. It's like we don't have hot takes because we're in a locker room and we're at practice and we talk to players. I mean, it's just stuff that we see in our everyday eyes that it's like, to be quite honest, I like this tandem of Pacheco and McKinnon. I like it so much that I don't know if you bring back a Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I mean, I don't know where he's at as it relates to his IR, but
he's definitely moved down the totem pole.
And so I mean, now Rojo, I know he got some carries, I think, in the first series, but to be honest, I mean, as long as they're healthy, to be honest, I mean, it's like thunder and lightning with those two players right now.
My only pushback on that is do you feel like they could bring Clyde Edwards-Helaire back next season and he'd be okay with, because you got to remember, early on in the season he didn't want to talk to the media when things weren't going his way. Sure. It was kind of like a young person when they get into trouble, right? They kind of shy away from their parents. He didn't really want to talk to the media.
Look, man,
can he handle that back seat?
I don't know if he can, because you got to remember he's a first-round draft pick, and so as we talked about this morning on the pregame, with Patrick, when it comes to the MVP and Eagles and stuff. I mean, everybody, you and I, to whatever degree, we all have egos, and so if you look at Clyde was a first-round draft pick. He had been starting every game, that he was healthy. And now, he had a setback. And here you have Isaiah Pacheco where people were already, and look, you and I, I mean, we keep it 100, but we talked about in the preseason that we felt that he was going to be starting towards the end of the season anyway. Here it is in the season. He started, but he started, I think, around week 4, week 5 or whatever. And so I mean, that does something to a player's psyche. Look, I mean, because, we've had conversations about some of the wide receivers.
Yep.
And so that's what worries me, to where I know his contract is easy to deal with because he was, I think he was like the last or second to last pick that you, I think, no, he was the last pick, I guess, in the first round.
Very last pick.
Yeah. And so, so you do have him for 5 years if you want to. But the question is, if you move on from him, are you cutting him? Are you trying to trade him? Because I don't know what you can get for him because of what he hasn't been healthy this season. So I don't know what and so I don't know if he's built for. Let me say, I don't know if he's built to be a third, or even right now, a fourth string running back.
And I mean, just going off his body, we talk about MVS's body language. Clyde is another one who shows his emotion. He shows it. I just seeing him in the locker room, the conversation, and I won't repeat it, that he had with Jamal Charles, just lets me know that it wouldn't work if you tried to bring him off the bench.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's great because we think about over the last couple of years the running backs that have been in the Chiefs locker, in the Chiefs in the running back room. I mean, we know how Shady McCoy is, how he is. On television and stuff, but he was in that running back room, and I think it was another running back I can't remember from the I don't know. Well, no, it was from Pittsburgh. The running back that was Pittsburgh, that just came here. I don't lost my.
I'm looking at Aaron Ladd's glasses. His 2023 glasses he has on right now. His Happy New Year glasses. But yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but they anyway. It's really bothering me that I'm losing my train of thought on this running back. But when you have those type of players who have been stars on other teams and they come in and they have been able to find Le'Veon Bell find their footing, and then they go become disgruntled when even though they get a ring or they get a championship ring or something like that, they become disgruntled. And so but see, his problem, and I don't want to blame him for the fact of where he was drafted, but also his size. Man, I mean, his size works against him because you saw what Damian Williams did in the Super Bowl, and and he could have came back, but I think the COVID stuff.
Damian Williams is much bigger. Damian Williams is a Isaiah Pacheco size.
I thought it was a Kareem Hunt size, but yeah, but
I mean, same.
Yeah, but yeah, and also here's the thing, man. Fans are not stupid. When you watch Clyde, the first thing you think about is the man's not big enough to get, to push the line to get in the, and then we've seen constantly with our binoculars from the press box, we see where the hole will be wide open, but instead of run through the hole, he runs up the back of his lineman. It's like, no, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And so again, I just don't. And then also, if you got a running back on a 7th round salary for the next 3 years after this season, it becomes a cost issue too as well.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. Well, that's our take on it for our post game show, Darren. Next week we will be in Las Vegas, the sunny Las Vegas. I'm sure what the weather was like in the desert, but we will be there.
I did check it. This is like it was kind of cold, like 50 degrees. So I'm gonna see what that desert weather going to look like.
Okay, so the Chiefs will be taking on the Las Vegas Raiders next week. Remember, tomorrow you can catch myself, Darren Smith, also Uncle Sean Tyler, along with DJ Q down at Soiree Steak and Oyster House, 6:30 to 7:30. Make sure you come down there and check us out. We will be talking everything in Kansas City Chiefs football. We'll give you all of our, what you like to call them, hot takes, and much more. And
also, we will actually spend a little bit of time talking about the Buffalo-Cincinnati game and the ramifications, because that's going to be, because we did, if I remember correctly, talking to Justin Houston, he said, and he said he's going to join us the following week as we get back from Vegas, but Justin Reed. He did say that the players plan on having a get together to watch that game, so that's going to be and stuff like that. I actually like that because we're bringing them together, just little things like that. So I think it's going to be big.
Exactly. All right, the Chiefs defeat the Denver Broncos 27-24 right here inside of Arrowhead Stadium, GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium, to be exact.
We can be bought for the right price now.
For Steve Walls and Darren Smith, until next week for our pregame show, we are out of here.